Could this represent the end of U.S. involvement in this war? Is this it?
First of all, we have a president who is not programmed to run away or retreat. So if this was the end of the war, it's going to have to be couched. It's going to have to be a politicized end, meaning that the United States is going to have to be able to say that they accomplished something through their action. This president will not allow a scenario to evolve that says America got beat. And so, the answer is, we know Trump wants to disengage from the Middle East. We know this with absolute certainty because he has said so. His priority is the Pacific. His priority is China. And the last thing he needs right now is an open-ended conflict with Iran that requires hundreds of thousands of American troops to be committed to possible ground action in Iran. He doesn't need that. He doesn't want that. So I do believe that if this is handled properly, and it's going to require a lot of maturity on the part of everybody involved, and that's a very difficult thing to guarantee, that the United States could, in the aftermath of this, declare that it has achieved stability in the region. For instance, let's say we get a compromised nuclear deal out of Iran that caps at 3.75%, gets rid of 60% enriched uranium, has American inspectors participating in IAEA inspections. The president can say, we now can rest easy at night. There will never again be an Iranian nuclear program, a nuclear weapons program, and I get all the credit. See, as long as he can say, I get all the credit, I'm the greatest man in the world, my hands are bigger than you, then he will be able to withdraw from the region. But unless he can say that, if this comes out as he got beat or he got outfoxed, then unfortunately, I think this president stays committed to military involvement in the region.
Do you think strategically Iran could position it in a way that allows Trump to get credit for it, but at the expense of Israel? So they continue to strike Israel. They don't strike U.S. targets, which is what we're seeing right now. As soon as the U.S. struck the nuclear facilities, Iran immediately responded. They could have struck U.S. bases immediately. They're ready for it. They've done it before. But they immediately struck Israel. So it seems that Iran wants Israel to pay for this war. And they've been relatively understanding to America's involvement, which means there could be a path for Trump to declare some sort of victory with this.
I think so. I think, look, the Iranians are far more pragmatic and realistic than many people give them credit to. We sit here and talk about the Iranians as if they're a bunch of raving fanatics and death to America and all this stuff. First of all, it's a total misunderstanding of what death to America means. I mean, put yourself in the Iranian shoes, talk about 1953 and Mossadegh, talk about the Shah, talk about Savak, a CIA-trained secret police, talk about the records that the Iranians found when they took over the embassy, implicating the United States with Savak in the torture and murder of Iranians. And now you understand the genesis of death to America. But I've been to Iran. I was there during Ahmadinejad's regime, which was not known for its pro-American tendencies. And the Iranian people are warm, friendly. They don't hate Americans at all, just the opposite. They want to have good relations with the United States. If once you understand the reality of Iran, the sophistication of the Iranians, everything you just said is possible. These are very sophisticated players when it comes to geopolitics. They're very sharp and keen negotiators who are able to operate on a bunch of different levels at once so that they can achieve what they want to achieve, but give credit where maybe they don't want to give credit, but they understand the political need to give credit to the United States. Look at how they negotiated. Look at the way that they responded. You remember the letter that Trump sent to Khamenei, and then Khamenei's response. And initially, everyone went, "Well, there goes negotiations." 6 rounds later, Ali Shamkhani is telling people we're ready to sign a treaty. Because remember, the Iranian argument about nuclear weapons was we have a fatwa. We have a fatwa, and therefore we can't have it. Well, nobody believes the fatwa anymore because the Iranians said it could be overturned in an instant. So the Iranians have come back and said, we're willing to sign a treaty, a binding treaty under international law, registered in the United Nations, a treaty that says we will forever, not have nuclear weapons. And there would be, in that treaty, there would be verification steps. No one saw that up there. The Iranians are willing to do that, willing to cap at 3.75%. Speaking of a multilateral uranium, fuel bank that allows them to use their excessive centrifuge. The Iranians are willing to do all of this, which shows the flexibility and the reality that they approach problem solving. So I'm fully confident that the Iranian government, if given the chance, because remember, they can't back down. We attack them, they have to respond. But if we can bring an end to this retaliatory cycle, the Iranians, I believe, are sophisticated enough to work with the United States and other nations in the region to come up with an acceptable deal that that brings an end to this conflict. But a key aspect of that is Israel. Israel started this war with their surprise attack against Iran. And according to the Iranian calculations, Israel must never be allowed to think they can get away with that again. And so that's an important element of all this. How much longer the United States is willing to sit back and let Israel get pounded is another question. But I want to say this to your audience who are saying, well, isn't Iran being pounded? Why aren't the Iranians in danger of collapsing? They've been preparing for this very scenario for 20 plus years. 20 plus years, Iran has been preparing for just this. They are operating on a game plan that they have. They have 57 different military districts, each one of which has been equipped to fight independently of the other for 2 years. And this war just begun. So Iran's ready to ride this thing out. This is the journey to the apocalypse, if that's the direction the United States wants to take it. The Iranians, of course, don't want that end, but they're going to make Israel pay. I don't think Israel gets away from this, starting this war lightly. What the price is, of course, is negotiable. But I don't think the idea of let's just bring this thing to an end because Israel's upset, that doesn't fly anymore. Israel have to pay a price that's acceptable to the Iranians for carrying out the crime of launching a surprise attack against Iran that didn't just attack nuclear facilities, which is sort of a symbol of Iranian sovereignty, but it was also a decapitation strike against very senior leaders, beloved leaders of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Committee. Could you imagine how Americans would feel if overnight we lost the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, we lost the Joint Chiefs of Staff, we lost major military commanders, we lost the director of the FBI, and then a week and a half later, people go, forget it. Yeah, let's just bring this thing to an end. You think the Americans would go, yeah, you're right. We're just going to forget about it. The damage done to Iran in terms of their sovereign interests and in terms of just the insult to Iran is incalculable. And so Israel's not going to get off lightly for this.
What about the threat to Ali Khamenei's, the supreme leader's life? So Trump has hinted that he could be struck. Netanyahu has hinted that could be struck. Do you think they could strike him? Is that just psychological warfare to scare him so he does not escalate the war? So he accepts some sort of agreement and ends it early? Or is that a real possibility on the table right now? Because there's also reports that we haven't heard from him for 3 days, and some people are saying that he is in hiding, not speaking through any electronics, fearing for his life.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you fear for your life if the President of the United States indicated that you might have a target on you? Wouldn't you fear for your life if, as some reports out of Iran are true, his residence and his bunker have been struck by Israel? So I don't think it's a theoretical hit on him. I think Israel has actively tried to kill him. And now you have the President of the United States making the same statement. But again, this literally, it shows the ignorance of people about Iran. As Khamenei said, I'm 90 years old. I'm already dead. And don't mourn my loss. The Assembly of Experts has already picked a successor. And if they kill that person, there's a successor to that. The Islamic Republic isn't one man. It's not a dictatorship. It's a constitutional republic overlaid with a theocracy. It's one that's been around for many decades. It's solidified its the infrastructure inside Iran. It's not going to be done away with overnight. So the notion that you can kill Khamenei and somehow cause the system to collapse is a fallacy. It's a flawed notion. But if you do that, that again changes the dynamic of this conflict. I would say the worst thing in the world you can do is kill a 90-year-old man. If you want regime change in Iran, then make peace with Iran, wait till Khamenei dies, see who they replace him with, and then work with the system to moderate policies, etc. Plus, Iran is a member of BRICS. And BRICS is, it includes Russia, China, India, other nations that the United States has diplomatic relations with. Iran becomes self-moderating by joining BRICS because BRICS is not, a form of radicalism. It's a form of multilateral pragmatism. And so the best thing you can do is have Iran join BRICS, and through that association, you'll see their policies moderate, because BRICS can't function with an out-of-control radical rogue nation. BRICS will function when everybody plays by the same set of rules. And so, again, if I were advising the President of the United States, I'd say, let's bring this conflict to an end, and let's encourage Iran to join BRICS, and let's work with BRICS to keep Iranian behavior moderated.
Talking about BRICS, what about China and Russia's role in this? So Russia's busy in Ukraine. Russia's, correct me if you disagree, but Russia's historically not been there for Iran. They've supported them, financially in some ways. They've worked a lot together militarily. But in 2024, when Israel struck Iran, Russia didn't support them much. They haven't supplied them with much weapons with the Ukraine war. And it seems that this war in some way benefits Russia because it distracts the US away from Ukraine, and it risks oil prices increasing, which benefits Russia's economy. So does that mean Russia won't be there for Iran if this war continues? And what about China? I think China strategically benefits more if Iran wins this war or ends up in a better place after this war. Iran is a very close ally to China, but also supplies a lot of oil to China, and they've got the Belt and Road Initiative there. Where do these two powerhouses come into this?
Well, to answer that question, I guess I have to throw out sort of a rhetorical question in response, which is, if you're a parent and you have a child that's prone to misbehaving, do you want to deal with that child when the child is relaxed and comfortable in their situation? Or do you want to deal with that child in the midst of a temper tantrum because something's been taken away from that child? And the answer is you want to deal with a relaxed child. The United States is a child on the world today because we're led by a man-child. I mean, just listen to his rhetoric. I know this is getting way political, but this man speaks like no other president. He speaks like no other leader. It's childish in the way he speaks, exaggerations, the whole thing. And so nations treat him like a child. And so they don't want him to be having a temper tantrum when they have to deal with him. So I think what both Russia and China want is for the United States to calm down, and that it's easier to deal with the United States when they are calmed down. But if you're talking about dealing with America in the South Pacific, where it's very tense over Taiwan, and America gets beat in the Middle East or gets involved in a war that makes this man-child angry, now you have a child who's throwing a temper tantrum, and the chance of something good coming out of that diminishes greatly. So I don't think Russia or China is looking for the United States to be defeated or humiliated in this. I think what they want from the United States is predictability. I've been told this by the former ambassador to the United States, Anatoly Antonov. The number one thing Russia wants out of the United States is predictability. Because with predictability, you can formulate policies that can be implemented. If that predictability is attached to a policy that's hostile to Russia, at least it's predictable. If it's attached to a policy that's friendly to Russia, it's predictable. But what the Russians don't want is the United States jumping back between the two, because it's impossible at that point in time to formulate policy not only about U.S.-Russian relations, but about Russia's relationship with the world, which will likewise be affected by America all over the map. So the best way to have predictability for the United States is to bring an end to the conflicts that involve the United States, to bring an end to the Ukrainian conflict, to bring it into this Israeli-Iranian conflict. But you're not going to do that by surrendering to the United States. Anybody involved in the conflict won't consider